You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The snap, the kick, it's been blocked again! Oh my! It's been blocked again! He's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be caught! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! Oh my! I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Thompson fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory's got a touchdown! Oh my! Dory's got a touchdown!
Hands it off to Harvin. He comes back. Say goodbye.
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out a winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. This is Dan.
Delatorre.
And your boy Jay Scott 2-5. What it do, y'all boys?
What up, 2-5?
Yes, sir. Glad to
as
have
you-
y'all boys back, man.
Absolutely. As you guys can tell, Corey is not here. He's got some family obligations. So happy holidays to everybody, whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah. Happy holidays to you. How's everybody's weekend?
Put to the test this weekend. Believe I passed. Wife work weekend. 2 full days. No mom, no grandma here to help. 2 full days. I think we passed with flying colors. Was there excessive bottles of milk? Probably. Was she bribed with sweets, treats, and cookies? Maybe. Who's to say?
Yeah. Who knows?
Baby's alive. No worse for the wear after 48 hours with only dad. So I pat myself on the back. And very, very long weekend. Shout out to all the single moms and single dads.
Right, tough out here. Yeah, I had a pretty similar weekend. I had moms on the backup for a few days, but we managed to make it through. And now I'm blessed to have a kindergartner that's off for the next 2 weeks, so I'll be dealing with her for the next 2 weeks. So
What do you do, Jordan? Obviously, you got the holidays in a couple days, so the next couple days are probably pretty pre-planned. What do you do after that? Right? Because they gotta have stuff to do all the time.
yeah, man. So good thing is she does gymnastics, so we're kind of gonna do like a gymnastics camp, and they just asked her for her to be on a competitive team, so that was perfect timing. So now she gets a couple more classes through the week. I'll let her go there. It's a little camp. It's a little pricey for like the camp days that they do for like the no school days, but we pay for those, and she goes in there and has fun with them as well. So I don't mind taking her there. I sit in the little waiting room through the little mirror, watch her do my thing. Yeah, I'd rather that than her, using my legs as a slide all day long at the house. So definitely a way we get out of some free time.
I presume you guys are both staying local for the holiday season. I'm down in the 954 right now. So what's everybody got going on?
Sure.
So last year we stayed local. It was, you got the new baby. I think I stuck my chest out and said it. I was like, new baby, everyone comes to you. I feel like the baby's still new. 18 months, still baby, still new, and also another bun in the oven. Like,
Right.
We'll be in Daytona Beach though. we'll be driving. So I think we got 1 year of no traveling, but it'll be good. Frankie gets to see her cousins, so we'll leave Christmas Eve, drive down to Daytona Beach, stay with her family, and no idea how long we're going to be there. I'm not the travel agent on this one.
Well, you got next year, Nick. Next year they'll probably come back to you, and then after that, then it's on you to keep the tradition going. You know what I mean?
I have to make next year really good, where everyone's like, "Oh, we should go to game." Not everyone. We don't need everyone here. There's a fine balance there. Fine balance of making it good enough that you're not asked to travel, but not good enough that everyone wants to come. Like 12 people in the house for a week. I don't know about that.
Yeah, 3-day rule on that one.
I'm down here until Friday morning. I got down here yesterday. Get a nice
Isn't
little
that your
round of golf.
childhood room?
No, this is my mom's office.
Okay.
I don't have this much class in my childhood bedroom.
Well, no, I'm saying sometimes the childhood room gets turned into something.
Oh, yeah.
You're a young man still, but you're in your mid to late 30s. I don't understand.
Late 30s. Yeah. I turned 38 next month. Expect Christmas or birthday presents from all of you guys. But down here for a couple days, and then I'll go back to Tampa for about 3 hours, and then I'm gonna fly to New Orleans, go see some of Sarah's family for about 30 hours in New Orleans, come back, and then they're gonna go to Mississippi for a few days, and then I'm gonna go. I have a hockey game to go to next Sunday, and then I've got another round of golf next Monday that I couldn't miss. Gosh. So that's a business thing, Nick. It's one of those things I had to be back for.
Yeah. I mean, what would the golf course do without your greens fees? Probably shut her shop.
Yeah. It's called fuel in the economy, Nick. So somebody's got to do it. But man, it's good to see you guys, and we'll hopefully be back for a full crew next week. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all of that fun stuff. Nick, let's get us a quick Brunt Insurance ad read, and then we'll get started with the show.
One time for the team at Brunt Insurance, from the Panhandle of the Keys, car, home, life, boat, anything you need insured, even Dan's golf swing. Call Greg at 954-589-2204 for a free quote. Cost you no money, could save you money in the long run. Again, that's 954-589-2204. Greg, what it do, baby?
Absolutely. Always a good time. Maybe around the 4th of July, maybe around Christmas every year. Always a good time to just check your insurance rates. You never know, right? It's free. You could save some money. So go give Greg a call. I also want to give a shout out to our friends over at the Dykus, Burke, and Lewis Law Group. Give them a look if you're having any issues with your sinkhole damage, water damage, wind damage, flood damage, whatever it might be. Obviously right now is a time to just keep their number handy. We just never know what the season might bring ahead of us, but they used to work for the insurance companies. Now they work against the insurance company. So go visit them. Great group of guys that I've known for quite some time now. They are going to represent you. They are represented by a number of fantastic attorneys, and anything that they can do to help you fight those pesky insurance, property and casualty insurance companies, they are the people that you need to go visit. So give them a look at DykusBurkeLaw.com for all of your needs. All right, gentlemen, we've got a coaching staff ready to go. A handful of hires have been made since the last show. So let's run through a little bit about what we knew before, right? So obviously we got John Sumrall as the head coach. We got Brad White from Kentucky as the defense coordinator, Buster Faulkner as the offense coordinator. We knew those names. We knew Gerald Chapman was going to come back, and I guess LSU tried to steal him away there at the last minute, but Gerald Chapman was announced. Promotion in his title. I think it's associate head coach, maybe assistant head coach over there. So congratulations to him. I would imagine that he got a hefty pay raise there as well. Brandon Harris, we knew about him, the cornerbacks coach. We knew about Chris Collins, the safeties coach. We knew Phil Trotwine was coming back. And I think at the time we knew Marcus Davis was joining the staff as well. So let's run through some of the names. And we'll start kind of top to bottom there. Nick has pulled up the list on the side. Joe Craddock is coming over from Tulane. He was Tulane's offense coordinator last season, and he was with Troy University and John Sumrall when he was over there. So he's going to coach the quarterback coach when he was at when he was at Troy, averaged 13.3 yards per completion, which was second in the Sun Belt. 419.4 yards per game, 266 passing yards per game, and 29.6 points per game. It seems like some people got maybe a little, I don't want to say perturbed, but maybe a little, some flashbacks of Billy Napier bringing the Sunbelt boys over with him. But any chance I think that you get to have an offense coordinator step into just a position coach role, we've got that. But Nick, you've probably stayed pretty close. What are your thoughts here on Joe Craddock over?
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty level-headed take of you. It's not like you're hiring a running backs coach or a tight ends coach to run the offense. And I think that's the difference. I get it. I get the PTSD. Everyone wanted to run with, I don't hire my friends kind of thing. And I don't know that that's the case, but also it's the coaching circles are small, and being on the reporter side and now where I am, like with the NIL side, you see that even more. Like all these coaches know each other. There's not that many agents. I think everyone knows about Jimmy Sexton, but like there's only a handful of agents. So all the agents know each other. All the coaches know each other. You're going to hire a friend at some point. It's rare that you're not going to hire somebody you have never crossed paths with or haven't met somewhere. But Craddock, it'll be interesting to see. I did not like Tulane's offense. Watched the bowl game and thought, oof, definitely don't like the way the offense looks against an SEC team. You have to, it's apples and oranges. It's what Tulane can hold on to and pay NIL wise versus what Ole Miss can and has built and played and paid NIL wise. Like I saw JMU's projected NIL is $1 million for next year. And I'm like, Billy had guys making more than that. Over what he'll have for his entire team. So you're really apples and oranges when comparing the G5 and the Power 4. But
can I interrupt you real quick, Nick? I knew that there was a disparity. I didn't know that it was $1 million for a whole roster. That is just an astronomical difference when it comes to competing in these games, right? Like I would have thought JMU would be in like the $4 or $5 million range.
Yeah. You're running back, like you're gonna have 5 plus 6, 7, 10 guys maybe making like what a JMU can pay the roster. Like it's just and there's nothing against the G5. Like I think it was great that the JMU made it, great that Tulane made it, but like the record of group of 5 teams in the college football playoff is now 0-4. If you go back to when Cincinnati made it as a 12-0 team in the 4-team playoff, and they just get smoked. They get smoked. And NIL is, if you like it, if you don't like it, NIL has certainly made those Cinderella stories a lot harder to come by. I think Bud Elliott had a great point. He's like, NIL has made the top 30 in college football more competitive than it ever has been. Team 1 to Team 30 are closer than they ever have in college football, but not the best G5 team. And maybe there'll be an upset, at some point in the playoff, but we certainly didn't get it this year. Anyway.
No, I think it's going to be really hard. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, but I think it's really tough, man. Me and my guys were talking about it this weekend. We're having an argument about if they're worth it to make it in the playoffs or not. I'm like, honestly, I think as far as skill position goes, DBs, receivers, running backs, those guys, the skill level isn't that far off from like a SEC team to us like Tulane at JMU. But when you get into the trenches, now it's a little bit different. Like, I don't care how good your team is. You don't have guys to block dudes at Ole Miss. You don't have guys to block dudes at Alabama. Like, you just don't. Or at Oregon. That's who JMU played this weekend. You
not for 4 quarters. Like you might get jacked up. You might have your smelling salts, and then the ball
might have a good half.
Feel real good for 15 minutes.
Thank you. You're gonna get maybe a drive or two that where you're actually doing decent. You're not dominating, but you're not getting killed. Over time, they will just wear on you, and it's just gonna be that type of game. Like people like to say, the SEC isn't the same anymore with NIL in the picture now, and I kind of agree as far as the skill players go. But as far as the trenches go, I think we have we're still leading in that aspect of like we have great defensive linemen, very powerful offensive linemen. Just the way that we play in the SEC as well is very physical. We run the ball a lot more, and we live behind that as far as establishing a run and being physical up front, which most teams in other conferences really don't do that. Maybe the Big Ten is another one, but.
Well, just think Tulane had to replace, and I'm not just standing for John Sumrall here. It's just the one school that I know, had to replace 60 players. And I would imagine that Tulane this offseason is going to probably have to replace whoever their best players are and then add a bunch more, because you're going to have some older players that transfer in for the opportunity to play maybe their final year. You're going to have a bunch of your guys that maybe other schools in the Power Four have noticed. And so those schools, it's not just kind of the haves and the have-nots, like you were saying, Nick, with Bud Elliott. It's not just the money disparity. It's going to be the roster turnout because of money, yes, but the recruiting out of these programs, that's just going to make it so hard for these group of 5 teams to compete. I mean, like you said, there might be one time, right? Just like there was the one time in basketball that the 16 seed beat the 15 seed, or the 1 seed. But how many times before did that not happen, right? Or, the 2 and the 15, it happens occasionally, but in the grand scheme of things, you're talking maybe 1 or 2% of the time. So, I don't think adding more teams is a solution to this problem, but I just don't think that the way we have it right now is going to really make great competitive football long term. But I'm not complaining about free football, but you could definitely tell there was a talent size disparity in that JMU Oregon game and Tulane Ole Miss game.
It's also like the ACC being completely inept. If the ACC isn't entirely inept, where you've got a 4-loss team winning the conference championship, 5-loss team winning the conference championship game, who then can't. That should have been your AQ. You should have been in. Miami, I think, deserves to get in. I saw a great sign. It was at game day at College Station. It was like, hey, if you would have beaten either one of us, so shut up. Both teams that you lost to are now playing in the playoff. That's how it works.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. I saw some Notre Dame fan accounts going viral. It's like, we would beat both of these teams right now. It's like, well, you had the chance to beat both of them and you lost to both. You're right.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Craddock. I really like Chad Morris and his team's SMU. That's where Craddock was. I think he got his start at Clemson, not to PTSD anyone there, working with the quarterbacks. That's 11 years ago. And then I think at SMU, obviously he was at Tulane. There's some familiarity there. I'll be interested to see what the quarterback room looks like and who you bring in to compete with, right now with Trammell and Aiden Warner and Will Griffin.
And Will Griffin
in January.
Yeah. We can talk a little bit about the transfer portal. I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of eyeballs looking at Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech there, but we'll talk a little bit about that. We won't know these decisions until 2 episodes from now, right? So we're not going to spend a ton of time on who's potentially out there in the transfer portal. But like Nick said, Joe Craddock got started in high school football, then went to Clemson as a player development guy, off the field guy, then became a GA, then SMU offensive coordinator, QB coach. Followed Chad Morris, I think, to Arkansas to be their OC and QB coach. Fell back to UAB as a tight end coach at Troy for 2 seasons with John Sumrall as the OC and QB coach, and in the last 2 years at Tulane as the offense coordinator and QB coach. Resumes aside, that is a resume of a guy that I believe should be a QB coach at the University of Florida. Not throwing shade at the last QB coach, but you don't have to Google the names of the schools to see if those schools still exist or not, right? So,
it still remains to be seen how much is Buster doing that as well,
right? Yeah.
What will their practices look like? I know that they will. At Tulane, they practice in the morning. I think I'll be waking up early to go to practice now instead of doing it in the afternoon. But it will be interesting to see what the coaching dynamic is. And that's something I'm always interested in when you get coaching changes. Well, sure, Billy Gonzalez was the receivers coach, but how much are the other guys doing? Because you have unlimited coaches now. And then when Billy took over, he really wasn't doing anything with the receivers. He was kind of like a CEO, and he was walking around, and it was all David Decker and Chad Lucas. And then, hold on that note, I think Chad is still here. I don't know who Dave is.
I think it's me.
Oh, Dave. Bree Wade works with us at Florida Victorious and has probably coming up on a year. And Katie Turner works still at recruiting. She's probably due soon. With her
for a baby.
first child, yeah. But yes, Katie Turner. I think most of the recruiting people have stayed. But yeah, Bree Wade works with Florida Victorious, which is not the UAA.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the recruiting infrastructure stays in place. I mean, Billy Napier completely changed the way that they did recruiting. And, I would imagine a lot of the creative people, now there might be some additions here or there, but, I would imagine, from a continuity perspective, and also their job is pretty straightforward. I don't like to rain on anybody's parade here about how great somebody is or isn't. And I think that there's certainly a certain way that you make people feel and everything else. And I think that she's very respected in her role. But a lot of her role is very organizationally and relationship driven, and just keeping people on schedule and on pace and making sure things are where they are. So unless you have kind of a fundamental disagreement, or, if her husband gets a job somewhere else, what could that mean? Right. So I think that there's, a reason for continuity, and I don't think you need to blow up the department. And I certainly don't think JMU, with $1 million NIL budget, then extrapolating that out to athletic department budget, I don't think that they're going to pay Katie Turner that amount of money to potentially follow. All right. So then from there, let's chat. Nick, this isn't on the list that you have pulled up there on the side because this announcement came out maybe 30 minutes ago. It looks like the Gators are going to be hiring Duke running back coach Chris Foster. He spent this last season at Duke, where he had two players rush for 1,715 yards and 23 touchdowns. Freshman Nate Shepard had 962 of those yards and 10 rushing touchdowns, which was second in the ACC in rushing yards and third in the ACC in rushing touchdowns. That included one second-team All-ACC player, one first-team Pro Football Focus and Sports Network All-ACC player, and one On3 true freshman midseason All-American. Prior to that, he was Northwestern University's running back coach, and before that, he was with ECU. So started his career at Gardner-Webb, was there, then App State, then Marville. That's going to be a new school to add to my list of schools that I need to read about. Then Georgia Southern for a number of years, where he was running back coach, ultimately ended up as running backs coach / associate head coach. Then East Carolina running backs coach, Northwestern, and then Duke. Obviously, a lot of names were thrown around that were out there, but the Gators do land on Chris Foster, which is a guy that I didn't know much about, and without a lot of prep time, don't have a real strong opinion one way or another. Jordan, maybe your thoughts on just the running back coach position.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I didn't know much about this guy, but I like the way that Florida did the hire, and that we didn't overspend on this, position. I didn't want to go get a big name guy just to go get it, just so we can keep Jaden Ball. Not saying that's why he's going to leave or stay, but I didn't want to overspend and he still leaves, and we're trying to overspend in a lot of other ways. So I'm feeling okay about the hire. Obviously, we need to see how the season plays out and how he does everything. But just overall, man, you just want a running back coach that to be able to explain pass protection well to guys, to where you can break it down and make it easy to them, make the game kind of slow down for them, and the pass protection aspect of things, and also just ball security. Mm-hmm. I think the rest of the stuff, man, with running backs, it's all natural. It's all about reaction and being able to make the right reads and make the right cuts. If you're at this level of football and you haven't learned how to read the 5-6 runs that running backs have yet, you're in for it, buddy. If you don't know who you're looking at this point in your career, maybe a freshman coming in, I understand that. In high school, you just get the ball and run. But I think we have a pretty experienced room now. I don't know who the new enrollees that are coming in, but everybody should pretty much know how to read inside, outside zone, and gap scheme. I think the main part will just be making sure we can get pass protection down, however that's taught. And that was also to piggyback on. I like the way that they hired the OC from Tulane as the quarterback's coach, because there's just some familiarity. It makes. He knows what Sumrall wants. He knows the expectation of the players and what he wants and how he likes stuff done. He may not be the OC calling the big shots, but at least he can relay that to the quarterback. And obviously the quarterback is the commander of the entire offense, and they can pass down the same, thing to the rest of the team. So I like that hire. I like the quarterback hire. I like the running back hire too, just because I
feel like we didn't go too expensive on it, and honestly, he just needs to just do his job. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah. Jordan, you played college football, you played in the NFL. Talk to me about what makes a good running back coach versus not. I mean, because obviously there was some names thrown around. The Gators, lose Jabbar Jaluk, who a lot of fans were excited about. There's, some other big names. I know Robert Gillespie was a name fans wanted. Samples from Oregon was another guy. But like in your experience, like what made a good coach from maybe a not great coach? Hey, you don't have to use names, but I'm just kind of curious because you played the role.
I think it's just all about, man, the just keeping the work ethic in these guys, man, because the running back is a workhorse position. So you're going to need a coach that's going to push you every day and make sure that you guys, the indie has to be hard every day. It has to be challenging. You need to be pushing each other in team run and stuff like that. So this is a coach that brings that energy, man. I think that's what obviously Jaluk did a good job of. He pushed and motivated his guys, even though he knew they were good. Like, let's be honest here. This coach will probably come in next year if and when we retain Jaden Ball, and he's going to feel like I don't have to coach him because he's an All-American. He's a good guy. He's already a great guy. So you may feel like, oh, let me not scare him away. Let me not overcoach this cat. But that's not what you need at the running back position. You need somebody that's going to constantly be on you and keeping you at your peak and making you constantly hit new highs every day. So I think that's honestly the most important thing as far as just running backs go. Keeping it as a workhorse position and making sure that these guys are actually grinding every day and just keeping the little things right, like ball security. Like it sounds so simple, but it can easily change the game in like seconds, just simple as running right and keeping the ball in your right hand. You'd be surprised at how many cats I watch even in the NFL today. Running to the right side, balls on the left. The whole team is retracting from the left side. Why is the ball over there? Even with that, I watched the fumble with Derrick Henry last night. Ball in the wrong hand. He has a coach who feels like Derrick Henry's this many time Pro Bowler. He's a great dude. I don't have to tell Derrick Henry what to do. He knows what to do.
Willie Taggart?
Ravens running back coach Willie Taggart?
Come on. I ain't trying to say the name, but we know
it. Hey, fingers.
I'll say it.
I'm just being honest. He thinks that guy is already him. So he's like, hey, he's going to make me look good. I don't have to do anything. But that's not how running back works, man. You have to keep instilling in day one stuff and just making sure these dudes are constantly working. Don't ever let off the gas. So that's just my one advice for any and every running back coach out there who wants to be successful. Just make sure your guys are constantly on their game, man, and keep pushing them to the limit. That's all positions, but I just feel like running back is such a workhorse position that you have to emphasize that every day and make sure that that's like priority.
Love that, man. Love that. Appreciate that. And then let's get into, we talked about Phil Trotwine, obviously, and then Evan McKissick is going to be joining the Gator staff too. He was the offensive line coach, as well as I believe associate head coach there with Tulane last season. He's been with John Sumrall for this year. So he was there as the co-offensive coordinator, and offensive line coach. He was the tight end coach at Troy under John Sumrall. In 2013, Troy was again second in passing yards per completion. So again, a guy that, co-offensive coordinator, offensive line, we'll see how the tight end position is used in John Sumrall and Buster Faulkner's offense. But the way that it has been used the last, 4 years and may continue to be used as kind of an extension of your offensive line and kind of a power tight end. I don't expect Florida to go out and grab the most athletic tight ends, for this offense. But again, a guy that has, had some higher roles and higher capabilities coming over and dropping into that tight end coach position, which is often overseen as, now I don't want to say the least important, but maybe the ones that fans maybe know the least about there. So Evan McKissick joining, a guy, nice guy. I had the chance to chat with him over Twitter over the last couple of days as well. I know that he's excited. I did get to talk to another coach just over chat here, and I'm going to read it. I'm not going to say who it's from because I didn't ask for his approval to say it. Sorry, the internet's going slow. So let's pull it up. This coach said, sorry, I should have had this. This is what you get when you do stuff live. You know what I mean? All right. So he said, because we're talking about the pod, he's like, absolutely, I'm looking forward to really doing it. He's like, we've got to get to recruiting, retaining, and raising the damn bar. The expectation should be to beat Georgia and making a damn home in Atlanta every December. So hopefully that gets the fan base a little excited there, but that rounds out the offensive court or the offensive side of the ball. Prognosticating on coaching names and everything else, is hard, right? And a lot of people don't know coaches' names. We talked about Marcus Davis before. We talked about Phil Trotwine before. But Nick, any final thoughts on the offensive staff that Florida has here, and what kind of grade would you give it?
I don't know about excuse me. I don't know about a grade. I think I really didn't know much about Buster Faulkner until like seeing the reaction around and people being super excited about him. Getting Phil back, I think, is great. Like, it's having Brandon Spikes around and in the building, I think has been great. And getting guys like that were part of setting the standard. Like Brandon Spikes was staying after before the year. Jaden Woods, I was putting this on our message boards. Jaden Woods was staying every single day after practice and working with Carlos Dunlap. And like, there's not many in recent years, many better pass rushers than Carlos Dunlap. And I want a kid who's 18 years old to recognize like, oh, hey, this is an All-American first-round draft pick. He's here. Let me not shy away from it. Let me walk up to him and say, hey, can we go work on some stuff? And every day after practice, like having those guys around, I think was huge. Getting Phil back, and like Phil wasted no time.
Right.
There was no announcement. There was no edit. I think it still said Penn State. And Phil was like, let me get on the phone. Let's just start calling. If you got 4 stars, if you got 5 stars, Phil Trotwine is in your caller ID, and we're going to be sending some offers. I can't remember how long it's been. I think it was Dave Waters put it out, like how long it's been since Florida has gotten the top 150 offensive lineman. It might be Martez Ivy.
Yeah. My class was full of O-linemen, but he probably was it. Yeah, Wani was pretty highly rated too. Wani Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know if
No, I think Jawan was a 4-star that climbed kind of late.
Mm-hmm. He was from Cocoa with Chauncey.
Yeah. Was it David Bryant? Was that his name?
Taven Bryant?
No, that's Taven Bryant.
What are you thinking about? Yeah, I think between Tez and Wani were like the 2 highest graded linemen, probably just in the last 10 years, I'm assuming. Yeah. I guess so.
But getting Phil back, I think, is really good. I'm just looking right here. Let me see if I still have it pulled up. No, I lost it. It was kind of this damn Twitter with I had Chris Foster's like roster, what they put in like the press releases, who he's coached, all that kind of stuff. Tight end coach is always kind of like a swing position in my mind. It's like, hey, that's a guy you're gonna want to be able to recruit. If you got an offensive line coach, like, it is what it is. I don't know many. I think Tim Brewster is probably the only guy as a tight ends coach. You're like, I know who he is.
Yeah, right. Brewster used to recruit some stuff. Now I don't play with that boy.
Tim Brewster, very, very high on John Sumrall. Like, I don't think you could have somebody that sings higher praises for somebody than what Tim Brewster. Find you somebody who loves you the way Tim Brewster loves John Sumrall.
I love that for us. But I think I can give it a grade. I think I give it like a little B+. I mean, just because it's some uncertainty, with some not new names, but new names to most people, and just not sure what these guys can do. But I have full faith in that we'll be able to make a good roster out of this and be able to get the ball moving with some of these guys, man. And with the tight end coach as well, him being a former offensive line coach, I think that'll play key into him being able to teach those guys how to block and what's the meaning of having the right steps and being able to take the right footwork to do the right blocking that they need to do, whether it's blocking or run blocking. So I think that's a good.
Yeah, I think you went and you grabbed maybe the best potential, on paper, offensive coordinator that's in the country that fits the system that you're wanting to run. And I think that you grabbed a perennial top 5 offensive line coach, not just in terms of development, but in terms of recruiting. And you get a guy that's back on his home turf with, according to him, zero desire to ever leave again. So I think that those hires are great. I think the rest, are I don't want to call them names. They're guys that have good pedigrees. They've been multiple offensive coordinators there. You have the offensive coordinator as a position coach. You have the co-offensive coordinator as the tight end coach that's coached both the tight end and the offensive line. Again, Marcus Davis is relatively young in his career, and Chris Foster is a name, that again came out of nowhere for a lot of Gator fans. But, the way that I look at it is you have to look at continuity. You have to look at fit. You have to look at price tag. You have to look at, recruiting chops. You have to look at, how does that person coach and develop, and how does that person fit into your scheme and what you're trying to do? And as attractive as the University of Florida is for us as fans, it's, got to be the right situation for you, right? And you've got a clock that you're working up against. And if you want to hire a coach that's coaching somebody that's in the playoffs, are you willing to wait a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks to get that done? Or do you want somebody that's there now? So, again, I thought that you nailed the offensive coordinator role. In my opinion, the most important coach you can have is your offensive line coach. I think you nailed that. So I'm going to give it a B+ with the opportunity for an A. I think both Phil Trotwine and Buster Faulkner's are 100 out of 100. And then the rest rounded out to a nice old B+ there, but you have some familiarity. You bring over some of your analysts from Georgia Tech. I am surprised nobody from Faulkner's staff from Georgia Tech did come over to fill any of these roles. But, again, it's got to be the right situation for you. But nailing the offensive coordinator and landing the offensive line coach of your dreams, to me, is the way that you want to make it work. So any more thoughts on the offensive side, or do you want to move to the defensive side?
No, I think we said it we've said it on this podcast for a while. It's, you can X's and O's for as much as you want. You can have a great coaching staff. It comes down to Jimmy's and Joe's. Like, you're going to have to get players. I'm sure Nick Saban was a great coach. It didn't hurt that they recruited the way they did, and he got to coach those players. And you can say that probably about any coach. Like, Urban Meyer was awesome with Tim Tebow, and Dan Mullen was awesome with Tim Tebow, and then Dan was like okay with anyone else not named Dak or Kyle Trask. So you need guys. So I think that's the biggest thing will be, once the portal opens, how does this staff identify and recruit players? Because looking at the offensive line, you're going to be replacing what I don't know if we've said this before, but a 5th-year senior at left tackle, 5th-year senior center, 6th-year starting right guard. Like, you've got a lot of positions you need to go and recruit and get guys from the portal who are ready to play day one.
That's a fact.
I'm trying to figure. Yeah, Fletcher Westphal was a top 150 guy, Nick. I'm trying to figure out if there's anybody else. He's the highest ranked of the last 10 years. I'm throwing this in ChatGPT to try to make it work faster, because we're going to have to go more than the past 10 years to get somebody that was ranked as highly as Fletcher Westphal, which, no offense to Fletcher Westphal when I say this statement, but it's pretty egregious at the University of Florida that you couldn't land anybody that was ranked anywhere close to as high as Fletcher Westphal was.
I think it's Martez Ivey. If I can pull up he's been out of school for so long that his 247 coach is now buried. NCAA.
Who's the guy that played on the Cardinals for a little bit?
Martez Ivey was the number 1 offensive tackle, number 1 player in Florida, national player.
I'm thinking of DJ Humphreys. Or David Sharp is the name that I was thinking of earlier.
Okay.
Yeah,
when I said David Bryan, David Sharp. I know he was highly ranked.
What about Max Garcia?
Yeah, so this is –
well, Max was he transferred.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Max Garcia transferred. Yeah, he transferred in from junior college, right?
No, Maryland.
Oh, it was Maryland. You're right. I'm sorry.
Maryland had to sit out a year.
So going back the last 15 years, Fletcher Westphal was a 4-star, maybe a 5-star somewhere.
David Sharp was the 117th ranked player in the country in the class of what?
2014.
14, yeah.
Yeah.
And then DJ Humphreys was ranked pretty highly. Richard Garage was a 4-star. Rod Kearney was a 4-star. Isaiah Walker, but he didn't play. He transferred to Miami. And then Austin Barber was, a 3-star, 4-star. I think he was a 4-star on 247. But the list of names in the last 15 years, you have 8 guys that were 4 stars or higher. Egregious. All right, guys. Yes, Jason Zandamello is a top 10 offensive lineman, but he is a transfer to Florida as well.
Well, that's a weird that's a weird one because, like, yes, sort of.
Yeah.
Like, enrolled and then immediately left. But yeah.
Yeah, but still technically a transfer out of the high school, out of the high school system.
Technically a transfer.
Technically, he moved to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Well, Roland got it. Jason Zandamella is definitely a top 10 player. Got it. Let's get into a quick ad read for our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Go visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. Get you 20% off of your order. It's probably a little too late for you to get your Christmas presents in, but you can order one now and say that it got delayed by the Postal Service. A very easy excuse to blame the Postal Service. I know our friend Ryan, Nick in Jacksonville finds any reason, and maybe he can blame this one on Home Field Apparel. Actually, come to think about it, I ordered a couple hats from our friends over at Branded Bills. They were supposed to be delivered on December 15th. Right now, it says they are out for delivery on December 18th with no updates then. Chat, am I cooked? I think I'm cooked. Cooked. Yeah, so Sarah's dad's present might be a little bit delayed, but hey. Hey, both my parents worked for the Postal Service. My aunt was a postmaster general there in Micanopy. I have no hate to the Postal Service. I'm just saying it is an easy excuse to use. No hate. I love the Postal Service. Appreciate what they do. But again, homefieldapparel.com, about 6 pages of Florida Gators apparel there. They've got about 100 different schools that you can pick from as well. So go visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale. I'll get you 20% off of your order and free shipping. Shout out to the Postal Service. We've previously talked about Brad White. Everybody knows Gerald Chapman, how great of a get that is for the Gators. And we've talked about Chris Collins and Brandon Harris. So, pardon me, a couple new names to add to this list here is going to be Bam Hardman, who is a former Florida Gators captain and linebacker back in the early 2000s, and he is coming over to the Gators from Tulane. He's an all-SEC linebacker, 3-year NFL veteran, and was with Tulane. This season, he spent 9 years at Troy. In 2018, he was the Broyles Award nominee, and in 2020 was a finalist for Football Scoop Linebacker Coach of the Year. Over there at Troy, he worked with outside linebackers and defensive run game coordinator in the previous 4 years. Before that, he was their inside linebackers coach and bandit coach. He's had 19 players earn all Sun Belt honors in his 9 seasons. And in 2018, a former walk-on linebacker earned a freshman All-American honor there at Troy as well. So he comes over after a season at Tulane. And again, the Gators now have a coach on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. Nick, your thoughts on Bam Hardman?
That's
first off, hell of a name for a linebacker coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You get a guy who, again, a former player. It's not a prerequisite, but like I've talked about it with Georgia, like all of the coaches at Georgia got their butts kicked by Steve Spurrier and enjoy winning that game against Florida. You've got a bunch of guys now, or a couple guys now, who understand that what it's like to put the pads on and put that orange helmet on to kind of set the standard and set the expectation. So I like that. We'll start from the top. I think Brad White, I know we've talked about him a little bit too. Yeah. I've talked with some of the players. When I talked to Miles Graham, when we were releasing that he had re-signed and he was coming back, I was waiting for 30 minutes because he was watching film with Brad White. And then he talked about having a head coach as your position coach, and then having a guy like Brad White breaking down film with him. I said, I always thought that because Mark Stoops was a defensive coach, that Brad White didn't get the credit. He goes, definitely, like, this guy is super, super bright. Love his defense. Love the way he's gonna call it. So I think starting from the top, Brad White is a guy who maybe we look at Kentucky and you think, hey, that was all Mark Stoops. I think he had a lot of his fingerprints were on that Kentucky defense, which put Dan Mullen in a headlock, put Billy Napier in a headlock, put a lot of the SEC in a headlock for a long time. Getting Gerald Chapman to stay, that was huge. Then you get Bam. And then you kind of fill out the rest of the staff. I like Daewon. Met him last year. He was on staff last year. Brandon Harris, I think we talked a little bit about him as well. Huge ties, deep ties to South Florida. You can start recruiting there. Chris Collins coaching the safeties. It is interesting to me that you've kind of got those three separate rooms now in the secondary, where a lot of staffs will just lump the safeties and the nickels together. So that is interesting to me. And then you've got, the two linebacker coaches as well. It's it is. I think it's a good staff. Again, I'm still kind of in that same camp though of you've got to get the players, and we'll see what happens when you get the players. But all of the defensive players who I've talked to as we're doing like contract negotiations, stuff like that, love the defensive coaches that they've talked with.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, just to piggyback off what kind of Nick said, I kind of called this kind of when Sumrall first got hired. I knew he would go and hire some former players of some sort, whether it was at the college level or the pros. So I think that plays a big part in one, player retention, as well as the new guys we get on staff to buy in, because it's one thing to hear from a coach who you feel like it knows his X's and O's, but to hear from a coach, it's literally lace up the cleats and put on the helmet and has been through the same thing that you've been through, and they bring that energy. I think it's just going to bring a whole different beast out of our defense, especially with the head man being the defensive guy, former linebacker. I haven't met him or talked to him yet, but he looks like he has tons of grit in him and looks like he eats nails for breakfast. I love that. So I think that's a great overall defensive lineup, honestly, man. I think we're going to kill the recruiting aspect in the next couple of years, especially in the South Florida area, especially once we start winning ball games and stuff like that. Obviously, all that falls into place, but I think he did a good job of piecing everything up so far, man. We got guys who aren't the best recruiters, but they're a better development type of player, and we got some guys who are amazing recruiters and can coach as well. So I think we got a lot, kind of hitting all the bases in this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's just run through the the rest of these coaches. Greg Gasparotto is going to be the inside linebackers coach. Came over. He was with Tulane previously at Army, where they ranked number one in total defense nationally when he was there with 275.3 yards. And I know that Army doesn't necessarily play the toughest competition all the time, but they also have 0 players on scholarship, and everybody that's there is signing themselves up to go participate in the Army after, right? So you've got some, recruiting probably disadvantages for you. To rank number one nationally is a hell of a feat for him. So he was just a year at Tulane, where he the defensive coordinator and safeties coach. He served as the interim head coach at Troy when he was there after John Sumrall left to go to Tulane. Troy that year, when he was the defensive coordinator in 2023, set the Sun Belt single season record, with 47 sacks. They ranked third in the country nationally in sacks, 10th in scoring defense, 12th in rushing defense, and 14th in total defense. So again, held 8 of its 14 opponents under 300 yards. And then, like I said, before that was with Army, was with a number of other schools as well. Got his career started at App State and played at Wofford, where he won a Southern Conference championship over there. So again, a former defensive coordinator, guy that's very familiar with John Sumrall. John Sumrall is a defensive guy, comes over, takes a position coach, and not just any position coach, the inside linebackers coach, right? So that's a very particular position where he is going to be coaching just a handful of players each and every day and getting familiar with the defense that Brad White and John Sumrall are going to run over there. So again, a guy with a lot of experience, taking that step down as you move up, not just taking the lateral, defensive coordinator to defensive coordinator role, which a lot of people harped on. And when he said he wasn't going to hire his friends, I think it's important to think about friends. And I think it's important to think about continuity. And I also think it's important to remember that just because they work together doesn't mean that they're friends either, right? Or that he's just trying to get his guys paid. I think a lot of these coaches probably had opportunities to stay in similar roles. Maybe they're making a little bit more money, but the responsibilities are going down. So I don't mind some of these bringing, coaches over that that know your schemes, that know the way that you use words and use formations and help carry that message over. You're going to need, just with any executive, they're often going to bring over people that know them and are familiar with them. And a lot of them didn't necessarily coach with John Sumrall for years, right? Some of them coached for a year, some coached for 2 years or 3 years, but a lot of these coaches didn't just fall, John Sumrall everywhere that he went. So I don't want you to think that, they're just friends or these people that are unqualified for the roles that they're in. I think that there's a lot of qualifications that make somebody qualified to be a position coach. And I think that a lot of people, if you take John Sumrall away and you said, hey, we're hiring the defensive coordinator at Tulane to be an inside linebackers coach, most people would be like, yeah, that makes sense, right? That's an upgrade in terms of where he goes from the group of 5 to the power 4, but the position drops off. And so I don't mind a lot of these names that are coming over, and, the proof's in the pudding. We don't know how this is going to work. And, like Nick said, player retention is important, recruiting is important, development's important, and all of that is very important. So we're looking at this on paper, but I think when you look at bringing your friends over that the internet was complaining about yesterday, I don't know if I truly buy that narrative so far.
Yeah, I would have liked to. I heard early on, like the week after they announced that he was bringing his special teams guy on, Jonathan Galante. It was just announced today that Joe Houston is going to LSU to be their special teams guy. I thought he was really good. And then the special teams coordinator, Rusty Witt.
Oh, strength and conditioning.
Sorry, yeah, ST, yeah. Sorry, strength and conditioning, the S&C, not ST. I think he's a great hire. I watched like an 1.5-hour video interview with some like workout YouTube channel. I put it on our message board. I got to go find it again. Intense, obviously being I believe there should be, I hope there's a mat. Every team should have a mat. It's just good football. It's just good football.
$400 needs to go in the trash can, Nick.
It's just good football.
Bring the mat out, bro.
Leave the mat.
If I see that mat again, brother.
Bro, what do you mean?
That mat has saved lives, okay?
Brother, there was multiple times this year they had 10 people on special teams still.
Significantly less than without the mat.
That's just not really something I'm proud of, Nick.
You don't want to see that number without the mat, Dan. I don't think you do.
Sure, you play special teams in the NFL?
Yeah.
No, there's like one team
that has a mat in the NFL.
No, it's not, unfortunately. You just lose your job. These kids can't lose their job. So you need the mat.
I think like the New Orleans Saints, maybe. I think it was them.
The Dolphins
probably could use a mat.
The Dolphins used to have them. We stink. Oh, I don't even.
Well, we stink, brother. Now we don't have Corey on here to talk about the Jaguars. We can just wallow in despair about how much we stink.
I got my Carolina hat on. I had to switch it up. This is the beauty of getting hired and fired a lot of times, guys. I'm a fan of a lot of people.
I like to think that, Nick, tell me if you agree, Jordan. You have to sit this one out. Tell me if you agree. I think the Jaguars are good this year because of Jordan's coaching this offseason.
I would most likely tie it to the way the leadership they got from a certain former Florida Gator.
Come on.
I think that's a huge tie.
I think it makes sense. I think it makes
The
sense.
running backs going crazy on the low. Nah, Trevor Lawrence is obviously doing his thing as well. Shout outs to that guy. I will say it here because who cares? Those guys were looking terrible in the training camp. It looked so bad. I did not predict that it would look like this going into this season. Literally, we would have every day he pulls up all the MEs and like penalties. Every single day, the billboard 10 plus. Defense gets 10, offense has 10. Penalties, offsides, holdings, all of it. MAs, messing up plays. I'm like, yo, I don't think it's been one day where we just played a clean practice. And, just looking at that and then seeing how they're playing this season, you see they really just turned a new leaf. I think it was obviously a lot has to do with the offense. I think Liam Cohen is really special. I watched him from the ground up, and he's a real mastermind on offense. So I think that's helping him out a lot, as well as Campanelli on the defense. But not too much to get into Jags football. But shout outs to those guys doing their thing this year.
NFL's done. The NFL's done. Anyway, back to Rusty Witt. Really good to see that interview I watched. I think if you just go on YouTube, if you're already on YouTube, don't get off. But once we're done here, if you search his name, it's like an hour and 20 minutes, and he's literally just talking about his philosophy, how he structures his lifts and how they track everything. It was really good for a gym nerd, gym rat. And I wonder if they retain Jess Ackerman, who's been at Florida twice. He was there last year. Jess, I don't want to get this wrong.
Was he with Savage?
Jess was with the Gators from 08 to 11. So I don't know if that was Savage.
Oh,
no.
I think I know who you're talking about.
It was another Ackerman that was with Savage. He was cool as hell, but I think he's somewhere else now. I don't know.
Jess, the reason I bring it up because Rusty obviously was. I think I've heard was a Green Beret, but he's a veteran. He served. Jess. So he was
a communications sergeant in the 10th Special Forces Group.
I love that.
So Jess went from Florida to Atlanta. He was the strength and conditioning coach for the Atlanta Falcons from 16 to 2020. And then he was the head performance coach in the XFL from 22 to 23. He also was the director of strength and conditioning for 3 years for the 75th Ranger Regiment. So I wonder if there is some like-mindedness there. But Jess is great, and we'll be interested to see how that strength staff kind of shapes out.
I will say my boy Rusty had a pretty bad ASS photo with the blood coming down the face. I was like, I can dig that. So you know what? I mean, I'll find out about you, but that's a good first impression right there. I see you out there with the werewolf.
Love a good bleeding head wound from my strength and conditioning coach mid-game.
Probably just had a little headbutt. He got too crunk. Bam! You know why I like the juice? Coach Savage used to give you a couple of those. You got to watch out for that cat. It's good and crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's talk about Rusty Witt for a second here. So he played at Abilene Christian, which everybody that's played college football knows Abilene Christian because they are when you create a player. Or in Madden, when you create a player, that's the first school you can say you graduated from, Abilene Christian there in middle of nowhere, Texas. So went there, Midwestern State as a GA, Texas as a GA. Then he was a speed and agility coordinator for the U.S. Olympic Training Center. And then he was with William & Mary, then Louisville, then Sam Houston State. And then he joined the Armed Forces, where we said that he was a communications sergeant with the 10th Special Forces Group of the U.S. Army. He was awarded a Combat Infantry Badge in 2007, 2 Iraqi campaign medals, and the Army Commendation Medal with Valor. So he worked in strength and conditioning when he was with the Special Forces, developing and initiating a comprehensive pre-deployment conditioning program for Special Forces prior to their 2 deployments, which doesn't sound easy as a guy that could not imagine. I could not imagine what that would be like to program that. In 2006, he was a finalist for the Armed Forces Merit Bowl Award. So he served with the Special Forces from 2003 to 2009, or he then landed back at Rice Then Louisiana Lafayette. No, that's a name that you guys don't want to hear. Then Texas Tech as their strength and conditioning coach, assistant strength and conditioning coach at Army, then at Troy, then at Tulane, and then Florida. So a heck of a career. Certainly appreciate his service. But from a friend of mine that works as a strength and conditioning program or a strength and conditioning coach for much smaller schools, and hopefully will one day get an opportunity at this level. He's just a very highly regarded and well-respected guy. And that's somebody that you probably want familiar with your head coach, because that's going to be the guy that's around the players the most, right? Probably even more than the head coach, right? Not just in the offseason, but during the regular season too.
I'm interested to know what's going to be the TLC or punishment look like when we get guys that are in trouble. I wonder because if he got all that background, I just know it's about to be something too serious when somebody gets in trouble.
You're going rucking around campus, Jordan. That's what you're doing.
Here's
a 50-pound vest.
They used to have us do Stairmaster 45 minutes straight. I'd have had people crying on that thing while they're still going.
We're nowhere.
So that rounds out the on-field coaching staff. Nick, I'm glad you said his name earlier, because I would have said Dawan Wilkins, who was with the staff last year as an off-the-field guy, is joining as the Nichols coach. He's just 25 years old and is the youngest position coach in the SEC. Prior stops at Furman, and then was a GA at Kentucky, where he worked with Brad White and Coach Chris Collins there. So, but no matter, I'm not going to call it nepotism, favoritism. I'm not going to call it anything other than the fact that you're 25 years old and you're a position coach in the SEC. You're doing something very good on and off the field. So congratulations to Dawan Wilkins.
Hope my boy Q stays too.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel bad. What about Q and D Reese, huh?
D Reese probably. D Reese worked with Chapman.
Yeah, that's why I said D Reese is still obviously around a bit. I was just talking to him.
D Reese is probably safe. I hope my boy Q wants to get into coaching. Yeah. Shout out to my boy Tease. Tease was there when Tease was there, but Tease is Tease.
Tease is Tease. He's bouncing around, but I think Q will be fine. I think he's still finishing school and he'll be around the area. I don't think they'll ever shun him out of the building of any sort. He's not that kind of guy to where he's like a cancer of any sort. So I know he's still grinding and working. Obviously, my prayers to him, and hopefully he can land something within the next few years. It's definitely a journey. You ain't just gonna make it there overnight.
Yeah, you and Q go back to the Q school days. You were smart enough to become a St. Thomas Aquinas Raider. Make sure we hit our STA quota, Dan.
I used to.
Not gonna allow it.
Me and Marco used to get along a little more though, just because me and Quincy used to have our differences sometimes. They used to want to put us against each other, yo. They did that on purpose.
Iron sharpens iron.
Right, that's really what it was. All the competitive like speed or hitting drills, it was me and the dude that was the same size as me but plays corner. Actually, a little bit bigger.
He was a big corner.
He was so huge. It's like you really are a safety at heart, but you can continue to play corner if you want.
If you remember that, do not say the safety word around him.
He did not like that.
Do not say the safety word around Quincy.
6'2", 220. Get your behind. You ain't even no corner. But, you know, he was honestly good at whatever he did, man. He was a freak athlete. Him and his brother both, and their dad did a really good job of priming those boys up, man.
Yeah, sorry, this is the last note. This is from my buddy Paul. He put this out on the timeline with Jonathan Galante being hired as special teams coordinator. Tulane's starting field position was ranked first in the country on offense and 14th in the country on defense. So his kicker was awarded a couple special teams honors from the Sun Belt as well. So hopefully we see some drastic improvement there in special teams that did, of course, pick up this season. Again, that's where we leave the on-field staff. We'll certainly find out if folks like Brandon Spikes. I want to give Brandon Spikes and Ben Chase a shout out. Also, both of them were awarded 40 Gators under 40. So
a list that includes our own Dan Thompson.
Well, I didn't want to say it, Nick, but yeah, so a really cool honor. But yeah, get to share an honor with Ben Chase, Brandon Spikes, really cool honor. So, but want to give those guys shout outs too. Cole Hurd is going to be joining the staff as well as the chief of staff. He is going to be the chief of staff to the head coach and to the general manager. He was the general manager for Tulane and was recognized by Football Scoop as a finalist for college football general manager of the year, finishing behind Matt Wilson of Indiana, who ended up winning overall. We've run through the list of off-field guys as well, so we'll run through that again real quick. AJ Erdley is coming over from Georgia Tech as the assistant quarterbacks coach. Mike Polly, assistant offensive line coach. Dylan Dockery, assistant tight end coach. Emil Ekior, quality control for offensive line, and Rylan Godey as quality control for offense. So we will, I would imagine, hear a lot more about recruiting staff and about other off the field coaching positions and those that are going to be in QC in assistant roles. So congratulations to the staff. And let's get into a little bit about the transfer portal and what's going on there. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel, at Game Time Sidekicks. Game Time Sidekicks, guys. Fortunately, I gave my parents one of these cups a couple years ago. So I had one down here. Go check them out. GameTimeSidekicks.com. It's going to keep your hot drinks hot and your cold drinks cold. I kept one in my car last Thursday. I parked in a parking garage at work, and there was still ice in it 9 hours later. So that's pretty cool. So go check them out. If you use promo code Stadium15, you'll get 15% off of your order. Again, GameTimeSidekicks.com, promo code Stadium15. So we didn't do this for the defensive staff and the rest of the staff, so let's just do it overall. Just on paper, conversation, everything that we know, give the staff a grade.
Let's go. We'll give him a B+.
Yep. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm in that same B range. I think it's fair to say that. And obviously I don't want to get too high and get the line like my boy Corey say. But I kind of feel like that right now.
Not even who will lie?
Come on, you feel me? But until they prove me otherwise, I think B is fair enough.
Good deal. All right, guys, let's get a little bit into what it looks like in the transfer portal. I had a couple of names added since we last chatted today, notably a guy that I thought would break out a little bit this year, but didn't really get to see him much on the field this season, and that's Florida wide receiver Nashawn Montgomery, who's going to enter the transfer portal. Spent a year here in Gainesville, 3 receptions, 26 yards, played against Long Island, Georgia, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. Out of high school, was ranked as the 262nd overall prospect, number 37 wide receiver, and 39th best player in the country. Comes to Florida from Miami Central High School, where he had 537 yards and 4 touchdowns. But he is going to enter the portal. He is the Gators' 15th scholarship player to announce their intention into the transfer portal.
I think I've got 18. I guess some of them weren't scholarship. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sick about that one right there. That one kind of hurt me. I can't lie.
You're gonna lose guys who are like Katie Daniels. I think is gonna be a really good player somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was just about to say he hurt me just as much as Katie Daniels hurt me. Just not.
Yeah, like I still think, I don't know if you guys share it, but like I still think DJ. I think DJ has the potential. Like I'm not just because he's leaving or just because of the year he had. Like I still have the perspective of what his offseason was. I think he can go somewhere and he can ball out. Like you're going to lose guys who will go on to be productive.
Yeah, I felt the same way, bro. I honestly didn't. Obviously, not to backtrack, but I didn't want to lose DJ. I wasn't like the boohoo crying sad, but at the same time, I almost wanted him to stay, just to have. I know you could do better. I've seen you do better. You know what I'm saying? So I was not mad at all with him staying, but more to navigate towards the Nation thing, man. I just think he's going to be a baller as well. Unfortunately, that we can't see him do it in orange and blue, man. I think he was going to be a great guy. He'll still be a great guy. He'll still have a great career. You'll hear that kid's name years from now and say that he was a Florida guy at first, whatever. But all praise to him, and wherever he goes, man, best of luck to him.
Yeah, we were starting the marketing campaign, Agent Zero. No gloves, no drops. We were working on it. He's
I mean, we did our best, you know.
We did our best.
Cool kid. Wish him the best. Originally, I wonder where he ends up because he's originally from Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
In Miami for a little while, but long, lean, fast, good routes, solid hands. Like he's gonna be a good player wherever he goes.
Yeah. No, I mean, and there's got to be fit. There's got to be, you know, you just don't know what's going on in somebody's life. You don't know, you know, maybe Gainesville's not the place that they want to be either. And you have some opportunity. Maybe it's the type of offense that he's going to run, or maybe there is some prognostication about who you might bring in and who you might recruit. And, you know, Florida had, you know, every opportunity for a wide receiver to come on the field this year and show out. And, you know, it just didn't work out this year. And, you know, certainly as a guy that was a fan of and still am a fan of Nation Montgomery, I hope wherever he goes, he gets an opportunity to show out. But, you know, most high school kids aren't going to work out, right? It's just the way that it works, right? There's only so many wide receivers on a team that are going to be good. And that's usually, if you're lucky, 4. In most cases, it's 2 or 3 that are truly like difference makers. And most times it's like 1, right? So, you know, there's going to be an opportunity for him. And, you know, I hope that he's able to go and get a good fresh start for himself. Gators also lose backup offensive lineman Devon Manuel, who came to Florida. He's the 3rd offensive lineman to leave the program. Came to Florida from Arkansas. Only played in 1 game in 2025, and I don't know if he played in 26 at all. Did he, Nick? And made a couple appearances in 24.
Who?
Devon Manuel.
No. Well, first off, 26 would be this coming season.
I'm sorry. In 25, played 1 game in 25. My apologies. And then 3 in 2024. I read it wrong.
Yeah, he's got some knee issues that he's just gonna have. Like you're gonna have to battle through them. Good player potentially, but you know, gonna be hampered by his injury stuff. But yeah, like. It's not going to be cheap, but you're going to have to get guys in the portal in the offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You need backups too, right? Offensive lineman Enoch Wengoy. Also, he's been at UF for 2 years. Hasn't seen game action in his 2 years. Originally from London, England. So you know he's on his way out. Manchester, pardon me.
Somebody would have gotten
3 hours away. Sorry, 3 hours away. Yeah, not around the corner. Not like me when I say I'm from Coral Springs or I say I'm from Fort Lauderdale. Actually, you're from Coral Springs. Yeah. This is one that got the internet in a stir, and then who knows? Maybe there's a chance that he comes back. Nick, I don't want to mispronounce it. Makai Boyro.
Kai Bureau
is in the transfer portal. 20 tackles, 2 sacks, 296 snaps last year, starting 9 games. You know, again, just because you enter the transfer portal doesn't mean you can't leave the transfer portal. And I think that Florida is in negotiations to try to keep him if they can. Certainly his position coach is staying the same. And who knows, maybe there's an opportunity for him to make more money somewhere else, or somebody is telling him to potentially look and seek that out. But you know, I don't know if the book is totally closed on him. And 1 interception. Yes, that too.
Yeah. He called game. Address something there real quick because there's a lot of just like Florida's poor. Florida doesn't have this. We're not going to lose any player because we didn't have the money. Like that's not a thing. The way you set up a roster, like when ETN left, and I think I can probably talk on this because I wasn't part of the company then, but like he was given a number from Georgia that we could match, and the coaching staff said, we don't want to do that. That's going to set our entire budget off because then we were paying one player, but we want to pay an entire room. And we're going to go over budget. And what precedent does that set? Also, shout out to Billy Napier. Billy Napier said, we've got this freshman who we're going to be fine. Like, we'll be fine with Jaden Baugh coming in. We can let ETN go to Georgia because we're not going to pay him $800K or whatever it was. So it's not that we don't have money. We have plenty of money. This is going to be a very expensive roster. The coaching staff has to figure out and budget like an NFL team. Okay, we want to allocate this amount of dollars for the wide receiver room, and the wide receiver market is crazy. And we need to allocate this amount of money for the offensive line. And we might have to make it more this year than we would normally like because we're coming in and we have to fill in more spots. But if you see somebody on social media saying Florida can't afford them, I know what the roster is going to be. We can afford a lot.
Will it be over $1 million?
For me, I accept. I will re-sign with Stadium and Gale, $1 million a year.
Oh, perfect. All right. We need some sponsors. If you own a business that wants to pay us a lot of money, Nick, just up his salary to $1 million.
What a negotiation. That went really well for me.
Yeah, but it hinders on you getting a sponsor, Nick. You know, if
I will wear all this logo can be yours.
Yeah, if Sam Altman is listening to this or Jensen Wang is listening, we'll take your money. Let's see. This one probably didn't surprise many fans. Tight end Hayden Hansen, who started 34 games for the Gators, 57 receptions, 611 yards, and 5 touchdowns in his career at UF, has entered the transfer portal as well. So those are the names.
Can we get a final ruling? Because I have been dragged for my Hayden Hansen is Jonathan Odom. Very same to similar players. And I got dragged, and then some people agreed with me. And then I look at the reaction that people have when he leaves, and I'm just like, why do I get dragged? And then you're so happy when he leaves.
I kind of feel bad for the guy in a way because he's just doing his thing, you know. It's not his fault. Like no other tight ends could develop in the way that they use the position. Like, it wasn't Hayden's fault that he's not like the most athletic and fastest tight. Like he was just out there, right? Like he didn't start himself. He didn't hold those hostage that I know of. You know what I mean? Like
what Florida asked him to do. Like
he just wasn't that guy.
He was reliable in my opinion to a certain extent. We just didn't like
kid.
Yeah, I feel like he did what he was supposed to do, man. I think he may go somewhere else and do pretty good. I just don't think he did. I don't think that's what we wanted to see as a fan base. We didn't want our number 1 or number 2 option to be a tight end. That's just what that was. No. And that's what we were getting. I mean, it was kind of like similar to the McElwain era where our favorite play was play action to Goolsby. Or
man, exactly, that is a game that I haven't even thought of in years. Jeez,
nobody wanted to see that as a fan base. So Goolsby probably got tons of hate through his time in Gainesville, even though he was a solid receiver. I mean, solid tight end.
30-30. No. Let's say he was not a tight end.
Yeah, he didn't want to block a soul.
There's no blocking.
Back.
He was just a slow receiver.
Yeah,
jeez,
what he was.
Yeah, Nick, I'll retweet your endorsement there. More stats than Jonathan Odom.
Well,
no Jonathan Odom either. Dad is a alumni of this program and of this show. So
Jonathan Odom blew his knee out twice and had a crippling concussion. So Hayden Hansen was a healthier Jonathan Odom.
Okay. Well, I have a perfect spot for him to go.
Jonathan Odom, actually, I saw got invited to try out for the U.S. handball team, which will be an Olympic sport in the
It's always an Olympic
Olympics in
sport.
LA?
It's always an Olympic sport, Nick.
Couldn't have told you. Never.
We
no idea.
stink at it, but it's a cool sport. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why the United States isn't good at handball.
Maybe that's why they're trying to recruit D1 football, former D1 football players.
So we got Jonathan Odom on maybe the U.S. handball team, and we got Tommy Townsend on the bobsled team.
Who?
Johnny Townsend.
Oh, I'm saying he's doing what?
Yeah, he's trying to be on the U.S. bobsled team.
Johnny does a lot.
Johnny is living a life, man. Sometimes I see he's in like Tokyo or Japan or Korea, and then he's doing bobsled stuff. Then he's doing skiing stuff, and then he like finds his way in Gainesville to some gala, and then he's golfing. I don't know. Johnny's living a hell of a life. His post NFL life ain't too shabby. It's not bad. It's not bad.
You can say that again.
It looks like the Gators, I don't know, it hasn't been posted, and we live in a world now where players are re-signing and creating graphics and everything else. And Nick, you can keep your head down if you want. It does look like Jaden Robinson, Jason Zandamela, and LJ McCray look like they're coming back to Florida next year. So I guess we'll wait for the announcement graphic, but all of that looks like it's happening.
I think that kid's staying, bro. I mean, I think it's all just bullshit.
I just don't love this world that we live in. Yeah. So, I mean, I think
like
that's
at this rate. If you're gonna bounce, you're gonna bounce.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about it yesterday with my parents. I'm like, we were at Wings Plus, which is if you're really in South Florida, Wings Plus, fantastic chicken wing establishment. We were there, and I'm like, my interest in like following like the individual players is just like out the window. Like, I'm just rooting for the logo. I want success. I want good players, but like whatever my roster is on, we'll say August 20th, those are going to be the guys that I'm going to ride and die for the next 4 months. Then after that,
it's back up in the air.
It's kind of like studying abroad, and you have like a girlfriend that you go meet, for 3 months over in Italy, and then you're like, all right, well, that was really fun. Like, hopefully we can come back to Italy and see each other again. But if not, like, I wish you the best of luck, right?
Straight up, though.
Oh my God. So
at least there's only one portal.
Say what?
At least there's only one portal.
True. Yeah,
I think we're gonna do this again in March.
Yeah, it's hectic, but I mean, I think it's.
And also, shout out to, I think I said it last week, but shout out to the content farms, because you get anticipated going into the portal. Now he's in the portal, and you get the third when he lands. You get 3 stories out of each guy when this happens, and in between that, you get where is he going? Where are his top 5s? He's taking it is a monsoon for the farmers of content.
Yeah,
there's a new aggregator out there, Nick.
I don't mind
social media rolling. It keeps everything alive.
John Wilcox sums it up nicely. Fan loyalties come down to a follow button or an unfollow.
Is that a shovel? John, what's on your shoulders there? A shovel?
John's, it looks like a construction guy,
Killing it.
Big construction guy. Yeah. It's tough to build statues for mercenaries. We missed 2 super chats.
Hey, Herb, mercenary, Ring of Honor. Some are good.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a longer mercenary experience.
5 years. That is still currently the NCAA timetable for athletes.
Yeah.
Allegedly, until they lose another case.
Yeah. David Reese playing another year?
I believe his 8 years are done. I believe his 8-year clock is done.
I want to give a shout out. Man, David Reese. David Reese was a senior when Jordan was a freshman in high school.
I cannot believe that. I cannot.
Dubster 37. We appreciate you. Love you all. Love you all, guys. Keep Bob, Dallas, and VB3. Got some positive social media from Jaden Ball this week, and then Black Pine Labs 712. DJ peaked in high school. just as all developed too early privately coached QBs from Texas do. So
I know Corey will be on here pissed off here.
that he missed that one. We'll keep that one for next week. Our Dallas Wilson and Jane Boston. We just got to wait for the recruiting graphic to drop. The re-sign graphic.
Yeah, right. Because unless that comes out, it's just not legit, right?
Yeah. Got to wait for that. Got to get a picture of them in front of one of these old school printers that my mom still owns, signing something. Just to show.
Somebody sent me something like, "Is the ink dry?" I'm like, "Well, it's all DocuSign, so there is no ink."
Yeah. Are have the ones and zeros been successfully processed?
Everything's
Nick knows. Nick knows a lot. Nick, in his role, and we respect his role. We're not going to berate him. We're not going to ask him. That information will come out as it needs to. And don't worry, Nick doesn't like to tell us, and we're just sitting on information. Nick is very beholden to his job and his responsibility of confidentiality. So the Smithsonian called. They want the printer. I'm telling you what, man. But
I bet there's a typewriter.
Let's get one final shout out to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit alumnihall.com or go visit them in Gainesville on Archer Road. They're going to have the largest selection of Florida Gator apparel, paraphernalia, whatever you might be looking for, Gator golfing supplies, ornaments, Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, whatever it might be. Go visit alumnihall.com. Let them know your friends over at Stadium and Gale sent you. We've got 4,000-ish people watching right now. If you could hit the retweet button, if you could go on your Apple Podcast app or Spotify, go ahead and rank us 5 stars or whatever you want to rate us. If you could go do that, or if you could hit the like button, the subscribe button on YouTube as well. We haven't done Song of the Week in a while, and I'm going to give it to you, Nick. So what do you got for Song of the Week?
This will be our last one before Christmas.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with, what's that? Hold on a second.
While you do that, he said,
Apple Music. I just wanted to start playing something.
Yeah, no, I removed my comment. Unk shall not see my DJ slam. Black Pine Labs, we already put it up on the big screen. So it's there. Now you have to live with the consequences of your $5 donation to the Stadium and Gale Slush Fund. We appreciate it. It's fine. Just travel to Europe for a couple weeks and the internet forgets. What do you got, Nick?
My favorite one is Pentatonix Hallelujah, but I think I did that last year. So I'm going with one that gets Frankie going in the car seat. Old school song, Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms. And a Merry Christmas to all this week.
Absolutely. I hope you guys have a great holiday. It's always great seeing you. We will be back next Monday. We'll do some New Year's resolutions. We'll talk a lot about what's happened over the last. Say what?
I said we lie less. I think that's a podcast, or lie more.
We just have to lean into lying.
Next Monday to see if we'll be lying less or more.
Yeah. Silk's been giving me mixed signals, so I got to see where he lands as line coordinator, chief line coordinator. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate everybody for watching Stadium and Gale. I hope everybody has a fantastic holiday. Enjoy this time of year. Enjoy time with your family. Enjoy the season. And we will see you guys at the same corner, same time next Monday. Peace.